Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. Today's January 28th, 2016. For the entire day, CNN has had up the same front page story, what you're looking at now Zika spreading explosively. For CNN, this is rare to carry the same story all day. They're known for switching up their headlines about every hour, every 2 hours. Very rarely do they keep up the same story all day long. And with regards to this Zika virus, I'd never heard it reported on before New Year's Day. That was the day I first heard of it. CNN's main story that day was the Zika virus, introducing it to its audience. So in this video, we're going to go back, we're going to review that news story, but before we do that, I want to watch the video presentation of this front page story. It's Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN's made-for-TV doctor who goes on TV and reads the teleprompter and tells his audience whatever his corporate masters want him to tell. Anyhow, I want you to listen how he needlessly uses the word fear to begin. And fear is the word, because this constant bombardment of people with needless scares, it's all about fear. It's constant fear-mongering. A little more than a year ago, it was the same thing with Ebola. And if you want to go back and watch all the work I did on Ebola, it will give you a lot more understanding of what I'm presenting here. Just search Zachary K. Hubbard Ebola. I have numerous videos. Anyhow, as we watch this video, please pay attention to his use of the word fear, and then notice how in the presentation he recommends products for consumers to go out and buy. Fear is a real marketing tool for selling goods, and that is part of the reason this corporate media does this to us. We, the people of this world, live in a giant Ponzi scheme run by bankers, and they need constant consumption from us to keep their Ponzi scheme afloat. When people are scared, they go out and buy things that help protect their well-being. And that's exactly what's done in this news presentation. So we're going to break this down. I'm going to show you what's really interesting about when Zika virus was first discovered. And we're also going to talk about Walter Reed and what's up with that hospital where these infectious diseases that are spread through mosquitoes are studied. Because there's something weird going on at Walter Reed, and my suspicions tell me that some of these diseases that show up in mosquitoes are actually planned and part of a sick agenda that is about fear and about selling. So that said, let's watch the news coverage, and then we'll take the rest apart.
And red eyes. Here's what we know about Zika. Some of it will frighten you, but maybe not as much as you think.
Did you hear that? Some of this will frighten you. The first thing he says that we should know about Zika virus, that it will frighten us. Fear.
It's a mosquito-borne virus, part of the same family as yellow fever, West Nile, chikungunya, and dengue.
Those are all studied at Walter Reed.
As things stand now, there is no vaccine to prevent Zika, or a medicine.
No vaccines, no medicine. In other words, there's a major profit opportunity for the mega corporate conglomerates that rule over us with their pharmaceutical drugs, one of the most powerful industries in the world. And again, we live in a world that's a Ponzi scheme. These are privately traded companies. They always need more dollars, more consumption. So of course they need to scare people into buying more and more stuff.
Treat the infection. The most common symptoms include fever, rash, headaches, and red eyes. But 80
Notice those symptoms are exactly what people experience when they get the flu, and that's exactly what was reported as the symptoms for Ebola. These are things that will scare the hell out of people who catch the cold and flu, people such as my mother who will instantly start to think they have Zika virus, or Ebola, or West Nile, or what have you. All the scares we get for illness, and insects, and African killer bees.
percent of people who get Zika won't even know they have it. That's right, they're only symptoms in 1 in 5 people.
So, really, it's not even as scary as it is. That's probably why they have to play this scary music in the background as he moves on.
Now, the virus is spreading quickly across Central and South America and the Caribbean. What makes Zika so scary is this alarming connection between the
Scary.
virus and microcephaly, that is, babies being born with heads and brains that are too small. In Brazil and several other Latin American countries, they've become concerned enough they've asked women there not to get pregnant. In the United States, pregnant women are being told to postpone travel to any of these countries. In case you're curious, this is the bloodsucker everyone's after, the female Aedes aegypti. She's an aggressive biter that, unlike other mosquitoes, feeds mostly during the day. For example, she's different than the mosquitoes that transmit malaria, who like to feed at night. That's important because bed nets won't help as much here. The best way to prevent infections is using insect repellent with DEET, wearing thick long-sleeve shirts and long pants, and staying inside in screened, air-conditioned areas as much as possible.
Yeah, go support the petrochemical companies that rule over us, such as Monsanto, by buying sprays and repellents. So this is the headline from January 1st. This was the first time I ever saw what is Zika virus. And I just wanted to go through and see what stood out. I noticed that CNN's headline down here, if you're new to my channel, I talk about gematria, the coding of numbers into words. And most people, when they hear about this, they think it's insane. But if you see my work and how I routinely expose what I do, you see this is no coincidence and this is really what's going on. Anyhow, I noticed that their subheadline had gematria of 239, which is a very special number, a heavily coded number this year because we're in the 239th year of the nation's existence. And real quick, I just want to show you something. Zika has gematria of 47, and it was supposedly discovered in the year 47. A lot of the Ebola coding was coded the number 76, which was the year Ebola was supposedly discovered. So there is a history of this, and if you go back and watch my Ebola videos, you will see. Their New Year's Day story was from Puerto Rico. And I said, oh, that's nice, Puerto Rico, the place with the 59 gematria syncing up with the kill gematria. It's a story of fear-mongering. You know, that's the subliminal fear for your life. Could this disease get you? Could it bring death to you? This is what goes on in people's minds when they see these stories. The other thing I noticed is they said it was this type of mosquito that's spreading the virus, an Aedes mosquito, Aedes, which has gematria of 16, and I thought that was interesting because this story was coming out on the first day of 2016, 16 the new year. A virus we'd never heard of before New Year's Day 2016. So anyhow, the headline that they've had up all day, Zika spreading explosively, which they've had up, again, all day, but they've changed the picture several times. Here's what's up with that headline. Spreading explosively has gematria of 104, 113, and 122. 113 is a number of masonic deception. It means mainstream. It means dishonest. They often code it into their purposeful propaganda. 122 is a number that syncs up with the word Freemason. 104 is also a way of saying 10-4, message received. This gematria code is for knowing eyes, and most people in this world do not have knowing eyes. They're not aware of this esoteric knowledge practiced by Masons and Zionists. Again, Zika equals 47, established or discovered in 47, the same year the Zionist state was born. Throughout the day, I've captured the different headlines CNN's put up, keeping the headline, here is a man spraying chemicals. Here's a woman with a baby, as we just saw. A different shot of man spraying chemicals. You know, the images they want us to paint in our minds. Chemicals sprayed. Babies impacted. All part of the psychological programming of the story. Women not to get pregnant. Gotta like that they posted this headline at 9/11. Anyhow, something interesting about the words disease, virus, and kill in gematria. Kill, a word with 44 gematria, a number that shows up around death. Disease, also having gematria of 44. Same with the word virus. And, as humans, one of the things we're most fearful of is our own death. And that's part of the reason so much of the programming on TV centers around death, from the threats of terrorism to the threats of mass shootings to the threats of disease and illness. Working on our subconscious. Also, when I first learned gematria, one of the things I laughed at was how mosquito and vampire synced up, both having the gematria of 39. With regards to the Zionists, the Jews go by the Old Testament, which has 39 books. 39, another important number to this nation, 39 signers on the Declaration. As for Sanjay Gupta, the fearmonger that was just on the TV, repeating his canned lines, someone who's probably not even a real doctor. Some interesting things I noticed about his name. Dr. Sanjay Gupta has gematria 58 like Freemasonry. He's also born in history on October 23rd, 1969, a date with 58 numerology. He's born October 23rd, a date alone that has 33 numerology. October is also the only month with 33 gematria. 33 is a very important number in the deception. The Ebola story was completely centered around the number 33. Almost all the people in the media that we were told about that contracted it were 33 years old. No coincidence. The story of AIDS, the doctor who discovered AIDS, was 33 years old. AIDS has a gematria of 33. Sanjay Gupta, born in the only month with 33 gematria on a date with 33 numerology. And with regards to CNN, who he works for, it broadcasts from the 33rd parallel in Atlanta, Georgia. The founders Robert Turner, known as Ted Turner, Robert Turner III. Robert and Turner, both names with 33 gematria, just like the date he's born on. And again, if you're new here, this might seem all irrelevant to you. You might not understand why it's important, but it is. Because by learning this language, you can see through the Zionist agents that are actively working against us. The majority of them are coded this same way. No coincidence. CNN was really going crazy with the Ebola fear-mongering. I think we're going to see a lot more of this Zika virus, especially as summer comes. And with regards to mosquitoes and Walter Reed, a man who died in history on November 22nd. What's 11 plus 22? Who else died on that day? Yes, JFK, who died in Dealey Plaza, named after a 33rd degree Freemason. Anyhow, Walter Reed, a very suspicious death. The hospital named after him. Look at the gematria of Walter Reed, Truth Seeker, 666. And this is the place that studies the infectious disease spread through mosquitoes. They've been doing this research since the time of the World Wars. And I would bet my bottom dollar they're also behind the spread of these diseases when they come out of nowhere. There is people in this world easily sick enough to spring a new virus on people for a few more dollars. These people do a lot worse than the world. We're treated in that regard in so many different ways, from purposeful poisoning and chemicals in the food, to the air, to the water. Through a mosquito is just one more avenue for these people. So please check out my Ebola work if you have not. Quite convinced this is another fear-mongering tactic by the numbers. The other thing to keep in mind, though, is living out these stories. It's the story of the boy who cried wolf. We've all heard these stories so many times that we think, it's always just going to be fear-mongering. And there really might be a day where they decide to take it to the next level, because we live in the United States, a nation that was born out of a genocide of the native people. Show you something about the genocide of the native people and what killed them. We know it as smallpox, but smallpox is known scientifically as variola, a word with 33 gematria. And we called those people Indian, a word with 33 gematria. Think of it, Christopher Columbus, CC 33. We celebrate his holiday in October, the only month with 33 gematria. My point is, though, a genocide has happened here before. I wouldn't put it past these people to do it again. That said, I don't think we're to that point in the game yet. But I do think we're still in the point of the game where they're going to scare us so that we keep spending our dollars, supporting their mad money system. And with regards to 44 being the kill number, not kidding about this word. So many words of death and destruction have gematria 44, including genocide. Until next time, Truth Seeker.